I stood at the edge of the cornfield, black suit coated in dust, staring at the land that raised me. Grandpa's funeral had ended hours ago, but I wasn't ready to leave. His farmhouse, the red barn, the rusted tractor, it all held memories too thick to walk away from. I hadn't cried at the service. But now, watching the sunset burn over the fields, the weight hit me like a truck. "Excuse me," a shrill voice called behind me. I turned. A woman in a beige pantsuit and oversized sunglasses strutted toward me like she owned the place. Behind her, a shiny Lexus idled on the gravel path, hazard lights blinking. She had that smugness, HOA board smugness. I knew the type well. "I'm Karen Delcroix, president of the Meadow Creek HOA," she announced, offering a manicured hand. "You must be the grandson." "Daniel Wexler," I replied, not taking her hand. "Grandpa left me the farm." She smiled, not warmly, but the kind that says you're about to be in trouble and don't know it yet. "Well, Daniel, your grandfather's property technically violates several Meadow Creek standards. We've already documented excessive structure wear, non-compliant fencing, and unauthorized crop types." My brow furrowed. "The farm's been here for generations. It predates your little suburb by nearly 90 years. "That may be," she said with a plastic grin. "But Meadow Creek's HOA charter extends over this parcel now. It was annexed 2 years ago." I almost laughed. "You're telling me my grandpa's farm is suddenly part of your manicured HOA?" "Technically, yes. And unfortunately, due to non-compliance, we'll need to initiate proceedings to bring the property into alignment or begin acquisition discussions." "Acquisition?" I asked, taking a step closer. "As in take the land?" She shrugged. "The HOA has legal options." I could hardly believe the gall. I stared her down. "You picked the wrong farm." "Oh, honey," she scoffed. "You wouldn't understand the legal process." I reached into my suit pocket and handed her a card. Her eyes scanned it, then froze. "Daniel Wexler, lead litigator, State Property and Civil Defense Unit," her smile faded. I added calmly, "You just walked onto the land of the top litigator in this state." She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. I turned and walked toward the farmhouse. The sun dipped behind the hills, casting a long shadow across her Lexus. She didn't follow. Tomorrow, the war would begin. By Monday morning, I had copies of every zoning document, county plat, and HOA annexation map I could get my hands on. I wasn't just preparing to fight. I was preparing to bury them. The farm was grandfathered in under the original agricultural zoning, and there were no legal amendments filed. No legitimate jurisdiction granted to Meadow Creek over our land. But Karen didn't care about facts. She cared about power. At 9:12 a.m., I received the first compliance notice via certified mail. Violation 1, non-regulation fencing. Violation 2, unapproved outbuildings, i.e., barn and tool shed. Violation 3, unauthorized use of land for agricultural purposes within a residential district. Each fine was listed as $150 per day per violation. It was cute, really. An hour later, I showed up at the HOA office, a white stucco building nestled between an overpriced yoga studio and a bakery that sold $9 croissants. I wore a sharp navy suit and carried a leather case under my arm. The receptionist, a nervous 20-something, blinked when she saw my badge. "I'd like to speak with Karen Delcroix," I said. She nodded quickly and disappeared into the back. Karen appeared moments later, pretending to be surprised. "Daniel, to what do I owe this formal visit?" I pulled out my binder and laid it on the counter. "This is the original land plat from 1926, I began. "It shows the property was zoned for agricultural use and has never been reclassified." She blinked. "This," I continued, flipping the page, "is the county zoning map. It shows your HOA's borders stop 300 feet from our fence line. Karen's jaw tightened. And this, I tapped the final document, is a cease and desist. Effective immediately. You are to stop all attempts to levy fines, enforce codes, or pursue acquisition. She laughed, though it sounded forced. This isn't how these things work. We have a process. Karen, I said evenly, I wrote the law that governs property boundaries in this state. You're trespassing on my land, making false legal claims, and attempting unlawful acquisition. If you persist, I'll file a motion for harassment, seek damages, and bring civil and criminal suits against both you and your board. The receptionist's eyes widened behind her monitor. Karen's fake calm melted into simmering rage. You think you can bully me? I don't need to, I said. The law already has. I left her standing there, fuming behind her little HOA desk. As I walked out into the sun, I knew this wasn't over, but she knew now, I wasn't some grieving farm boy. I was the wall she just slammed into. I gave her 3 days. Just enough rope to hang herself with. On Thursday morning, a black SUV rolled up the gravel drive. Out stepped a man in a tailored suit, holding a clipboard and a measuring wheel. Another HOA lackey. He didn't get 5 steps into the field before I stepped out from behind the tractor, camera in hand. You're trespassing, I said flatly. I'm just conducting a survey, he replied, barely glancing at me. Without a warrant or consent? I asked. Smile for the camera. Because you've just committed criminal trespass on state-protected land. You've got 10 seconds to get off my property. He hesitated, then bolted back to his SUV. I sent the footage straight to the county sheriff's office. I didn't need them to act fast. I needed the paper trail. Meanwhile, I filed for an emergency injunction, backed by 6 precedents and a notarized affidavit from the county clerk confirming the property's exemption status. My assistant, Maria, overnight everything to the judge. Karen had no idea how deep I was digging. Friday, I received another HOA letter. This one stated they had scheduled a board hearing to determine if the farm was to be appropriated due to non-compliance. Appropriated, I nearly choked on my coffee. She really thought she could run a kangaroo court and take my land. Time to drop the hammer. That evening, I sent Karen an official summons. Wexler v. Meadow Creek HOA, I listed claims of fraudulent annexation, harassment, malicious prosecution, attempted unlawful seizure of property, and, just for good measure, emotional distress following my grandfather's funeral. Within 24 hours, my legal assistant told me Karen had called her lawyer twice. Saturday morning, I returned to the farm. I needed air. The corn was tall this time of year, and walking through the rows always calmed me down, until I noticed something. A wooden stake with orange ribbon in the middle of the south field. I followed the line. Another stake. Then another. Survey markers. I followed them all the way to the fence, where Karen herself stood smugly on the other side, clipboard in hand. I told you, she called. We're expanding the HOA buffer zone. This will all be part of Meadow Creek soon. I laughed, cold and loud. Oh, Karen, I said, pulling a folded paper from my back pocket. You just staked my land. She frowned. And that means you just committed federal land fraud. Hope you're ready for court. She blinked, the smile fading. Court? She asked. You're seriously going through with this? I smiled as I turned back toward the house. I already did. The courthouse smelled like polished wood and stale coffee. I stood before the judge, buttoned suit crisp, binder in hand. Karen sat across the aisle, flanked by a jittery lawyer and a bored-looking board member. Her expression flickered between rage and fear. She hadn't expected it to get this far. Most people folded under HOA pressure. But I wasn't most people. My client, her attorney began, was acting within what she believed to be lawful HOA authority. Any overreach was unintentional. I rose calmly when the judge nodded. Your Honor, the annexation Karen refers to is invalid, I said, placing a marked county zoning map on the table. This land was never part of Meadow Creek. Furthermore, she issued fines under false pretenses, trespassed, and began illegal survey operations. And here, I held up the footage from the hidden camera, is evidence of unauthorized entry with intent to seize land. The courtroom was silent except for the quiet hum of the projector as I played the video of Karen's hired surveyor stepping onto the property. Additionally, I continued, we submit documented threats of property seizure via HOA notices, none of which hold legal standing. Karen shifted uncomfortably. And finally, I added, placing the signed witness statement on the bench, we have testimony from the original county clerk confirming the HOA's application to annex this land was denied 2 years ago. They acted anyway. The judge scanned the evidence, her expression hardening. I see no legal standing for the HOA's actions, she finally said. Mr. Wexler, your motion is granted. A permanent injunction will be issued immediately. No further contact may be made by the HOA regarding your property. Additionally, we are referring the matter of fraudulent intent and trespassing to the district attorney's office for review. Karen gasped. I didn't know. Ma'am, the judge cut in sharply, ignorance of the law is not a defense, particularly when you overstep with the confidence of someone who should know better. The gavel struck wood. The case was over. Outside the courthouse, I exhaled. The summer air was thick, but I felt lighter than I had in weeks. Later that night, I walked the perimeter of the farm. The sun was setting again, casting gold across the fields. Grandpa used to say, land doesn't fight back, Daniel. People do, and you've got to be the one who knows how. I looked toward the road where Karen's Lexus had once idled. Empty now. By Monday, word had spread. Karen resigned from the HOA for personal reasons. The HOA board issued a public apology and settled quietly out of court for 6 figures. I used part of it to rebuild Grandpa's barn exactly as it was, and the rest went to legal aid for farmers like him. Because no one bullies my family and gets away with it. If you love watching justice served cold, smash that like button, drop your own HOA horror story in the comments, and hit subscribe, because karma's just getting started.